a really balloon superpower, you send thousands, tens of thousands of balloons.
That's for sure. Plus,
filled with poop.
Plus, the thing is, that's the thing. The balloons aren't filled with poop.
Right, they just carry it.
Yeah, they just carry it, which is a little disappointing.
It sure is. Yeah, but let's revisit that phrase. It's a balloon superpower, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you're a balloon superpower,
right,
you're 100%.
But they're not.
Correct.
They're clearly not.
They're developing.
Right.
Okay.
So last time I got in trouble with telling people in South Korea heads up, looking for them. So maybe you just don't leave home without an umbrella. Mm-hmm. Just keep your eyes peeled for those poop balloons. And I'll leave you with this news. I mean, kind of incredible, actually. Dr. Pepper is now in second place. All right.
Whoa. After
Pepsi
Coke?
is America's. Pepsi is number one. And,
no. Coke is number one. Right?
No. Number two selling
Coke
soft
has
drink
always
brand.
been number one.
Pepsi is number two. Coke is number one. Dr. Pepper is number two now.
And so it can't replace
Coke,
Pepsi as number
Coke,
two?
Pepsi, or Coke, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi. Yeah.
Wow. Jeez. I don't like Dr. Pepper or Coke, so I don't like the 1 and 2 drinks in America, I guess.
Oh, so you're a Pepsi guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
he always has been. Has been.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for sure.
So you like water?
I can't drink any of it now, but used to be, yes.
I heard Pepsi's just water. Is that true?
No, it is not. No, it is not.
No, but it's not as good as Coke.
Oh, it's way better.
Oh, Coke Zero
way
is
better.
So much better.
Coke, there it is. There's your top three right there. Coke, Dr. Pepper. And aren't they owned by the same? Isn't Coke, just Dr. Pepper owned by Coke?
Right?
I think it is.
Evil, greedy corporations.
Yeah.
Did you say other way around?
Isn't Coke own Dr. Pepper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he said. So
Coke
you made it
owns
sound like
Dr.
Dr. Pepper owned Coke, and I was about to welcome you to America.
Nobody owns Coke, except for Coke. I don't know. Whoever owns Coke.
Is it Pepsi or Coke?
Owns everything.
Coke? Let's see.
I think Dr. Pepper's a Coke product, right?
It is. Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Anyway,
all right. Well, we got that settled. Congratulations. Congratulations to Coke for continuing to dominate the planet.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, they have
That's great.
80 billion kinds of soft drinks. So.
Yeah, they do. There's a lot. So neither company, Coke or Pepsi, are really hurting.
No, they're not. No, they are not. They'll be fine.
I think they'll be okay. A Trump-appointed federal judge, Patrick Bumatai, just dissented in a case and in it issued a warning to Americans. He wrote, this is Circuit Judge Patrick Bumatai. I do not say this lightly. The injunction the majority affirms here is both reckless and extreme. It orders the state of Oregon to release from jail all criminal defendants not appointed state-funded counsel within 7 days of their initial appearance.
Oh, wow.
Given the complexities of the situation and the shortage of public defense counsel, the result of this order is that more than 100 criminal defendants will be immediately released from jail.
Oh.
And those being released are not sitting there for some petty offense. Just look at the charges of the named petitioners here. They're accused of rape, kidnapping, strangulation, assaulting a police officer, public indecency, and burglary.
So they had a public attorney. It just wasn't awarded to them within a 7-day period.
Yeah. All will now be released into Oregon's communities.
Oh, no.
But this is not the end of it. Countless others will be released on an ongoing basis because the injunction applies prospectively. To avoid the inevitable chaos, our court wisely paused the district court's extraordinary order pending appeal. But that wisdom has run out. The majority now endorses the release scheme, lifts the stay of the injunction, and lets it take immediate effect. By doing so, the Ninth Circuit is now complicit in a judicial jailbreak. I fear the coming disorder.
Oh, boy. Cool.
Wow, that's incredible that we haven't heard anything about that.
No kidding. And this is where?
Oregon.
And that's okay because the criminals that they're releasing
They'll stay there.
Right.
They'll all stay right there in Oregon, so we don't have to worry about it down here in Texas.
Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't
It's just
worry
like
about
the
it.
third world criminals stay in the third world. They never cross borders.
Never.
Idaho is another. They're another state now, right? And part of Oregon is now part of Idaho. I mean,
Well, not yet, but
I mean, in their
wanna
mind,
be.
they are.
Yeah.
So they're fine too.
They're
Don't
fine.
worry about it.
Right.
Everybody.
They'll stay in that one liberal part of Oregon, like Portland. They'll all stay in Portland. So
That's convenient.
yeah. So don't worry about it. That'll be great. That'll be great.
I'm willing to let that happen. Actually.
Meanwhile, New York City cops versus a 14-year-old girl. See who you side with on this. Okay. You get it back to blue here? Watch
So
this.
she's selling fruit illegally in a park. And so the park cop is trying to drag her away. Look, he's got handcuffs in his hands. What? And so the NYPD show up, but the crowd intervenes and drags her away from the cops. But look at this.
First off, back to blue.
Back to blue.
Back to blue.
But you don't want...
Park
he fell
police
down.
down.
Yeah.
Park police down.
Officer down.
It is a park policeman officer.
Listen to the park policeman.
14-year-old girl took him down.
Look at that. She gets him.
He grabbed her shoe.
Yeah, he took her to the ground. Listen to him. Listen to this. Pop this up. Listen. Where's everybody else? I need backup to take down a 14-year-old girl. Come on, where's my backup? Come on, I got a 14-year-old girl here selling fruit illegally. Now, granted, you don't want lawlessness. You don't want
You don't want
18
fruit
million
being
people
sold
selling fruit.
illegal. What if
Where
what
did
if somebody bought a banana from her?
But
Where did
and then
she?
ate it.
Where did
What are you
she
gonna do?
acquire the fruit that she's selling?
Don't ask questions. What are you, a cop? Come on.
Okay. Did she steal that and she's selling it?
Has the fruit
Is she
been
a
through quality
citizen?
control? We don't
Is she
know.
a citizen?
We
That's
don't know.
the thing.
We don't know.
I think Pat's onto it. It's the city of New York and places like that are not considered. They don't care about all the other things around this issue. It's
No, they don't.
Now wait a minute. Has this gone through the proper channels? Have been
Right. Is this
gone
gone
through
through
the
our
city?
bureaucracy?
Yeah. Does she have a license to sell?
Yep. That's
Yeah.
the issue. That's
Yeah.
the issue.
And I'll tell you what really pisses me off is when you buy fruit from an approved source, like a grocery store, you get it home like a banana, and then you open it up and it's rotten all the way through.
Oh wait.
That
Take it back.
pisses me off.
Take it back.
just
You're gonna take back a banana.
Oh bro.
That's why you
Come
got
on.
it from
You
the
should hang
grocery
with me.
store and not the 14-year-old in the park.
You should hang with me, man.
I bet you
I
do
take
that,
fruit
right?
back. Cucumbers.
gosh.
There's a salmonella thing right now.
Yeah.
Recall. So careful on that.
I don't know what's wrong with the fruit crops this year, but it's not good. All right, see you tomorrow.
Damn
Climate change.
14-year-olds.
This
Climate
is
change.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm Jill Savage, filling in for Hillary, and this is your 4-Minute Buzz. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy accused CNN of biased coverage against former President Donald Trump during a heated interview with CNN reporter Manu Raju on Inside Politics. McCarthy defended Trump as the best nominee for the GOP, asserting that the case against Trump wouldn't exist if he hadn't run for president. He criticized the prosecution's bias, noting that previous prosecutors in the DOJ had declined to charge Trump. McCarthy argued that most Americans are more concerned about Joe Biden's presidency and suggested that Democrats have overplayed their hand, which could backfire. When Raju pressed him on the hush money payment to an adult film actress, McCarthy countered by questioning why Hillary Clinton wasn't tried for paying a law firm to create a fictitious Russia issue. He also accused Biden of misleading the public about Hunter Biden's laptop and leveraging his power to suppress the truth. And NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang showcased groundbreaking AI technologies, including, quote, AI laptops and digital humans, during his keynote at the 2024 Taipei International Information Technology Show, known as Computex. Huang emphasized that Taiwan is leading this, quote, new industrial revolution, unveiling technologies such as humanoid robots, virtual fashion models, and a digital simulation of Earth. Huang described AI advancements that will revolutionize computing, including AI teams with interactive agents and robots trained in virtual environments to perform real-world tasks. He also introduced a new computer board with a Blackwell chip outperforming Moore's Law. Now, despite fears that AI could replace human jobs, Huang envisions a positive future with AI and robot enhancing human capabilities. And a daycare worker in Wisconsin has been arrested after an 11-month-old child tested positive for cocaine. Passion Watson, a 24-year-old employee at KinderCare, was charged with, quote, possession of cocaine on or near certain places. The child's mother took him to a children's Wisconsin hospital after noticing abrasions on his body. Tests revealed the presence of a cocaine metabolite in the child's urine. Detectives ruled out the mother as a suspect after searching her home and focusing on the daycare. A drug detecting dog alerted authorities to a backpack in the infant closet room where they found a white substance. Watson was arrested at the daycare after she admitted to occasional cocaine use, but denied knowing about the substance in her backpack. The mothers expressed her distress, noting that her son's agitation and behavioral changes and legal representation for the family is advocating for additional child neglect charges due to the physical injuries. Watson posted a $1,500 bond after her arrest. And a new report reveals that the psychologist treating the Covenant school shooter failed to alert law enforcement about her fantasies of killing family members and committing a school shooting. According to 99.7 WTN's Brian Wilson, the Metro Nashville Police Department is investigating the therapist who's allegedly confirmed the killer shared these violent thoughts. Retired MNPD police officer Garrett Davidson mentioned that the search warrant were executed on the therapist's home and office to obtain therapy session documents. Although the therapist claims to have closed her practice before the March 2023 shooting, evidence suggests otherwise. The psychologist could face criminal charges or civil claims for violating Tennessee law. That's all for this hour of the 4-Minute Buzz. Now, here's Pat and Stu.
Here we are. Thank you.
We're here.
We're here.
5 seconds.
Stu's here today, too.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Very excited to be here with you, Pat.
Oh, man.
You know.
Feeling is, whatever.
Okay, well, it didn't seem like an endorsement per se, but I know I missed the whole Trump verdict. I was out. I missed that.
Yeah.
That came on the night, Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
So missed that.
Did.
A lot of stuff been going on.
Yeah.
So lots of stuff to talk about.
So we'll get you all caught up here. Coming up in just a
I
few
didn't
minutes.
realize that Biden was a big border hawk. I missed that whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, right.
Gosh, I had a different impression of him completely. But thankfully, now we know the truth.
All right, we got the radio program coming up in just a few seconds here.
This is the Blaze Radio Network.
Welcome to the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Today featuring Pat and Stu. Stu missed the whole Trump verdict. And then,
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, this is amazing.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be surprised.
I am, because
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
the case. There's like nothing. They had no evidence. It was a
Right.
joke. So obviously he was fine.
Well, we'll get you caught up on that. And, of course, Anthony Fauci appeared before Congress yesterday. That was some fun. Get into that and lots more coming up in 1 minute.
Well, you have to declare a lot of things when you're traveling on a plane. Guns, ammunition, knives, swords. I know typically, Pat, you usually travel with swords.
A lot of times, yeah.
A lot of times you do. But you have to usually...
Samurai swords, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to declare those, right, when you're on a plane?
Yeah, you do.
You do. They don't usually at least they don't let you in a carry-on
No.
stuff. No. But you don't have to declare something that could save your life or someone you love. A Byrna launcher. Did you know that? I didn't know that. It's a non-lethal alternative to safeguarding your home that will send potential threats running in the opposite direction. It's legal in all 50 states. No permits or background checks required. I just got one for my wife. She loves it. It's really, really cool, and you can pack it in your checked luggage without the need to declare it as a firearm, making your airport experience smoother. There are times when non-lethal really is the way to go. The Byrna launcher has powerful deterrents like tear gas and kinetic rounds with a 60-foot range, and one shot can incapacitate an attacker for up to 40 minutes. Visit Byrna.com/Glenn for 10% off your purchase. BYRNA.com/Glenn. Get 10% off. And check out the latest news about Byrna as well. It's Byrna.com/Glenn. BYRNA.com/Glenn.
I think with, by the way, patents due for Glenn this week. With the verdict last week that you weren't here for, were you? I mean, we saw it coming because the judge seemed hell-bent on a conviction here, and the people of New York were probably hell-bent, the jurors that they picked from this thing. But, I mean, there was so little evidence to convict Donald Trump. Were you? I mean, even though we could kind of see the handwriting on the wall that they were going to do this anyway, I was still stunned. I was still stunned that it actually did, in fact, happen.
It's
on
weird.
All 34 counts?
Yeah, I know. It's strange. It's like, they constantly tell you they can't, it's hard for them to predict the weather, but they say they can predict the weather over long periods of time. They're like, well, we know climate change. We're 100% sure of that. We can't tell you what's coming next week. It was sort of that type of situation where, like, in a pragmatic moment-to-moment analysis of this case, I was absolutely stunned, right? Like, I mean, if you actually follow the case and think about our country the way it used to be, this is insane. And you can come to some conclusion based on the way the rules were set up. You could come up with a conclusion that might lead to him having a guilty verdict because of what they did, right? Like they said, you don't even have to know what the other crime is, what we're tying this to, and that's why, of course, they went past the statute of limitation and why it wasn't a misdemeanor, and then they said you have to tie it to a secondary crime. You don't have to agree on what that crime is. We're not going to tell you what it is, and we're not going to allow any witness testimony as to let you understand further how those crimes work. Like that, with those sorts of rules, I'm not surprised at all. There's a conviction,
right? I
am surprised in the long term, though, of like what our country has turned into. So I think
that's the thing.
It's stunning.
It is.
It is stunning that we have turned into, I don't know, El Salvador or something from the 1980s, right? Like it doesn't.
Not even El Salvador today.
Not today. I mean, today it seems
it seems a little better.
Yeah, it seems better than it used to be, certainly. But like, just pick your random South American country that you. I mean, I don't want to bring up Grenada. I know Jeffy was on the show yesterday and served there. But like, you just pick your like random country that you every once in a while hear about on the news that has one political party coming after the other one and trying to get them basically removed from the ballot or society and put them in prison. That's like what we are now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long term this doesn't cause massive problems for us. Not just
it can't
the country, but like Democrats too.
Yeah.
Like we have Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, who both run on a platform of I'm prejudging this person. That is my platform. I'm going to put Donald Trump in prison. I'm going to bankrupt Donald Trump. I'm going to go after him with the full force of my position because we know leading into this election how much you don't like him. And both of them did this, and they followed through with it.
Yeah.
They promised their
both
voters
got the
they would do
job
this.
done.
Now, I know there are Democrats who live in red areas. I wouldn't want to do it anymore if I were them. If I was a prominent Democrat, you want to live in an area that has that is an 80% support district for a Republican, because you're going to get every single one of these Republicans running on that platform. Hey, Bob down the street, that prominent Democrat we all know, we don't like him that much. He's a Democrat. Well, I'm running on. I'm going to make sure I'm looking at every form that guy has filed over the last 10 years.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. If there's any way to put him in prison, I'm going to do it. No, I don't think it's a good thing at all.
It's not a good thing.
But it's going to happen.
Oh, for sure. There's just no question. It has to happen.
No justification to argue against it if you're a Democrat and cheer this on.
Right.
No justification.
Right. The other thing that this does for me is make it really hard to believe that he doesn't do jail time. I can't envision this judge giving him any sentence but jail. If he were to say, yeah, you know what, community service, I would be stunned at this point, shocked, because he's shown how much he hates Trump. And and they've scheduled it for 4 days before the opening of the Republican National Convention. And I think he'd like nothing better than to sentence him that day for immediate incarceration.
Right. And then he's making the speech from prison.
Yeah.
And of course, that would do nothing but, you know how much money he would raise? I heard he raised $70 million in the aftermath.
Altogether, it was over $200 million.
Oh, since then?
Yeah.
Wow. It was $70 million in the first 36 hours or something. Yeah.
Right.
Incredible amounts. And just that, I don't know, honestly, if we get to the election and this is the thing that turns it, or this is the thing we're talking about. We have 6 months here.
Yeah.
Or 5 months, I guess now, before this happens. And so much happens in that time. And I don't know. Honestly, the more and more I look at this, the less and less I think the legal aspects are going to be a big part of this campaign. I mean, just yesterday, they came out with a ruling on the Fani Willis situation, gave a date at least, on whether she would be able to continue on this case, and it's October, which means that the Georgia one's not happening before the election. And that was the second most likely one to happen before the election. And you have the other two, the documents and the January 6th thing from the federal side, also very unlikely to see the light of day before the election, which means that this is kind of it.
Yeah.
You'll have the sentencing, which you're right, will be big. And I was asked about this in an interview this morning, and I didn't have a prepared question, so I kind of thought it out through as I was, I was sort of talking it out as I was going. But I think the most likely situation is that he does get sentenced to jail time. However, he doesn't actually have to serve it until after the appeal. And that, again, would push it past the election. Now, that might mean he serves jail time, but it might be served only in a situation where he loses and is out after the election. So, again, I don't know. I mean, this may very well be it as far as actual legal discussions as it applies to Trump.
He's got 54 more charges pending.
Right.
54 more.
And as I said a million times, they're not going to go over 91. They're going to get him on something. They got him already on 34 things.
On everything.
It was ridiculous.
Everything they've accused him of so far, they've got him on.
34 of 34.
So
I was actually surprised. I mean, how much do you have to hate someone to convict him on all 34? Let's even think you did something wrong here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you think the payment was wrong and hiding it. You're thinking he's hiding it. Okay. You think he hit it with the filing it as
the
legal. Yeah. Which is, again, hilarious.
Funds.
All we've heard, Pat, for the last 4 years is you have to respect election results. Yeah. They are putting him in prison under the premise that he stole the 2016 election.
Yeah.
That is what this is premised on. They're saying he did this in effort to steal the 2016 election. And I don't know. I can't remember who won New York in 2016. I know it was close. But that is legitimately an underlying, which is amazing after they say you must respect election results. Just like, Pat, they said you must respect, Pat, the justice system. Yeah. You do believe these Republicans? They are saying this has been rigged. And here we are, Democrats that have respected every aspect of our legal system for 50 years. All we do is we never say anyone is unfairly convicted of a crime. We wouldn't even know how to let those words spill out of our mouths. Sure, every single person of color that goes to prison, we say that about. Mm-hmm. Sure, every single time a police officer is acquitted of defending themselves with a firearm when someone's charging at them and shoot, and we go out and protest in the street and say, hands up, don't shoot, for 3 years, and then they go through the justice system, and that police officer, with all the video evidence they have, gets acquitted, and then we riot in the streets. But we must respect the justice system. Like when Roe versus Wade was overturned, guess what? Part of the justice system, boys and girls. But we must respect it. It's so laughable.
So
they
ridiculous.
have been telling us every single aspect of this system has been, criminal justice reform is based on what? Systemic racism inside the justice system.
Right.
The whole thing is based on not believing the justice system. Yeah. And then here they are on television, a jury of their peers said Donald Trump was guilty, and now Republicans are questioning it. How dare they? It's so
disingenuous.
laughable. It's as if we haven't been alive for the past 30, 40, 50 years. It's insanity. We all have seen them. Every single time they get a verdict they don't like, complain about the justice system. And now it's the most pure thing in the world. It's incredible.
It is.
Incredible.
All right. 888-727-BECK. More coming up in 1 minute.
All right, next time you pull through the drive-thru and get a burger or whatever, take it home and throw it in the microwave and set that probably for about, an hour or so. Long enough that it comes out smoldering heap of charcoal. Don't actually do that because you'll burn your house down probably, but spray a little beef flavoring on it and then try eating it. See how that works for you. Does that sound good? Doesn't sound like the healthiest or happiest way to eat. But kind of your dog feels the same way about kibble food and would really like some rough greens instead. Rough greens is not a dog food. It's a supplement developed by naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black that you sprinkle on top of the dog food. Brown food is dead food. Think of that burger in the microwave. You don't want that. You want the greens. You name it. If it's healthy for your dog, it's probably in Rough Greens. The folks at Rough Greens are so confident that your dog is going to love it. They have a special deal for you. Go to roughgreens.com/Beck or call 833-GLEN-33. They're going to give you a first trial bag for free. That's right. It's free right now. All you have to do is pay shipping. It's 833-GLEN-33, 833-GLENN-33. Give them a call today. It's Rough Greens. 10 seconds. Station ID.
This is the Blaze Radio Network. Listen at home, at work, and in the car. Find out how at theblaze.com/radio.
It's Pat and Stu for Glenn today. 888-727-BECK. Also, yesterday, Anthony Fauci finally sat in front of Congress to answer some questions. And, he was brilliant as always and so truthful and so powerful. Yeah. And I think you're going to notice just how likable a man he is as well. I mean, I don't know if this I don't know how it's going to work with Donald Trump and the Fauci thing. I think that's going to be maybe an issue for him in this upcoming.
In what way?
In the way that Fauci was his guy for about a year. Mm-hmm. And Fauci's not a good guy. And Fauci manipulated us, lied to us, kept things from us, and then wants to have it both ways on every single issue. From the gain of function stuff that we weren't funding, then we were funding, to the lab didn't release it, to the lab did release it, to I never said the lab didn't release this thing. I never said it didn't come from the lab. When we've got the audio, we've got the video of him saying these things over and over and over again. The opposite of everything he says now is what he said then. And he got called on it yesterday multiple times. Here's Jim Jordan talking to Fauci.
Prior to that call would have been on the call.
Well, the call was arranged by Jeremy Farrar. You should ask him.
Okay. Did U.S. tax dollars flow through a grant recipient to the lab in China?
I'm sorry. What was?
Did U.S. tax dollars flow through a grant recipient to the lab in China?
Yes, of course. It was a sub-award to the Wuhan Institute.
And who approved that award?
Excuse me?
And who approved that award? What agency approved that award?
National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Your agency approved that, right?
Yes, it did. Did
that have anything to do with this downplaying of the lab leak theory?
No.
Nothing to do with it?
Nothing.
Of course not.
Do you agree that there was a push to downplay the lab leak theory?
Not on my part.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
I think most of the country would find that amazing. I still got 11 seconds.
But look at the facts. I've kept an open mind throughout the entire process. I yield back.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Throughout the entire process.
It's only one thing came out of it, but
yeah,
it was open.
And, I mean, do you remember how people were treated that said, I think this was a lab leak? And you didn't even have to say it was on purpose. You know, you just that the lab leaked it. That's what I thought the whole time. I
didn't think it was on purpose.
I didn't necessarily think it was on purpose.
Right. I mean, again, you're talking about, I mean, look, China has a record of killing a lot of millions of their own people, but it would be an odd, it's not necessarily what most countries would do.
In this day and age, it would be strange.
Yes.
I don't put it completely past them.
I don't. And it could be obviously that they were manipulating these diseases for negative purposes and it leaked out. I mean, there's a lot of different nuance within a lab leak claim. Very easily could have just been a mistake.
Right.
Good intentions that led to a
you're
mistake.
dealing with something, you're changing something in nature that shouldn't be changed.
Right.
That if it's going to evolve, it'll evolve on its own. Otherwise, why don't you leave it alone? And then if it does evolve to the point where we need to deal with it and come up with a vaccine, we'll deal with it at that point. But we're taking nature into our own hands and we're messing with these things that we've got no business messing with. And we're doing it again, by the way, with bird flu. They're trying right now through gain of function to make bird flu communicable from human to human. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, so we can develop a vaccine if we ever need it. Well, it's not passing from human to human right now. How about we keep it that way, and then we don't have to worry about it? I mean, if you're just getting it from animals, we all have a pretty good chance we're not going to get it. But when you start being able to pass this from human to human, then you got a problem. Right?
And you can even come up with a justification for it, right? Like you can even come up with an idea of why you would want to do this type of research. If let's say we knew it was somehow impenetrably safe, right?
Right.
It would be something that would be potentially worthwhile.
If you know you can keep a lid on it.
Yeah, if you knew that. Of course we don't know that. And a lot of the back and forth in these emails was talking about, hey, they're doing this in facilities that are not at all secure.
Yes.
So, again, this is why you just don't do it. There's no reason this should continue. By the way, it still is happening right now. As you mentioned, we mentioned with the bird flu. But people are like, oh, they banned gain of function research, which, by the way, there was never a ban on gain of function research. There was a ban on the funding from the federal government during the Obama administration, which was lifted during the Trump administration, by the way. Again, that's not necessarily Trump's fault. There's a lot of nuance in that. But that was it came back on later on. The whole point, though, is this is a situation where all of this the entire time is still gone on. We don't know what China is doing. And, look, we don't know that the funding led to COVID-19. Even if it was a lab leak, we don't know that the funding led directly to that. It could have easily been that they were doing this on their own. There was other grants that were supposedly going to go through that were really specific to this. The grants didn't go through. But likely China did the research anyway and very well could be the cause of this. The bottom line, though, is that people need to be held responsible for what happened here.
Exactly.
And they keep denying it.
Yeah.
We know for a fact they were hiding this stuff. We now have the emails of them hiding from people like Rand Paul the idea that they were going to, there's 100 different things we talked about, not only on this show, but the past show. I don't want to go through all of them. We only got a few seconds here. But they were evading FOIA requests on this stuff.
Yeah.
We know that now.
Right.
I suspected it the entire time. It certainly looked like it was happening. And now we have emails with them discussing how to do it. We have emails where they're discussing that the FOIA people at their offices were instructing them where to pass this information so it wouldn't be caught up in a FOIA request. Incredible.
And all denied at the time.
All denied at the time. And Fauci yesterday was still denying it.
Yep.
Now, we don't have necessarily an out email from Fauci describing that, just his close associate saying he was doing it with Fauci. And Fauci's still denying it.
It's incredible.
Incredible.
All right, 888-727-BECK. More Pat and Stu for Glenn coming up.
Glenn Beck.
Sometimes the cost of doing one's duty comes very, very high. There are heroes in this country, and look, here and abroad. service members and first responders alike who will give everything of themselves up to and including paying the ultimate price in service to their nation. So who is there to help them? Who is there to help their families? Who exactly is on the front line for those who are on the front lines? Well, it's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Their Gold Star Fallen First Responder Smart Home and Homeless Veteran programs comprise their In the Line of Duty programs, and these are dedicated to honoring our nation's heroes and their families, engaging people in 9/11 remembrance across America. They host over 80 walks and climbs a year, dozens of golf outings. They run to the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute, educating kids that are never going to forget and how to make sure that that doesn't happen. More than 95 cents of every dollar that you donate to Tunnel to Towers goes to these programs. Never forget the sacrifices of our greatest heroes. Go to t2t.org, t2t.org. It's t2t.org.
Speaking of Fauci, don't miss Blaze TV's new docuseries with Matt Kibbe, The Cover-Up, exposing Fauci for what he is, a liar.
Stu Does America.
Raising the minimum wage to $20 an hour. Is there a limit to this? Doesn't seem like it. They just keep going up and up and up and up and up. Maybe $50, maybe $100. Someone actually did just request a $50 minimum wage. But this vote and these votes are always very, very popular. Minimum wage, despite my issues with it, minimum wage hikes are among one of our most popular policy issues that we enter into our discourse. Very, very popular. 70-80% approval for higher minimum wage. Why is that? Well, what's fascinating about this is there are always consequences. Thomas Sowell says there are no such thing as solutions. There are only trade-offs. When you do one thing, you affect the rest of the world, and you have other things that are the effect of that. That is something that is known pretty much by everybody. You can't just do a benefit analysis. You need to do a cost-benefit analysis.
Stu Does America on Blaze Radio Network.
Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are found.
I don't think we have any doubt in our mind about what God thinks about when he looks down to our nation and sees babies literally being sucked out of their mother's wombs. It's the God of Moloch that continues to cry out for the blood of the innocent babies. But in the darkness, there's always a light. This time, it's Preborn Pregnancy Network, and you are making the difference. Preborn is there for these precious babies and for hurting mothers who are being pressured many times to make this fatal decision. Preborn offers love, support, and free ultrasounds. That's what changes things. And Preborn has already rescued over 200,000 baby lives. But every day, the God of Moloch demands more. So every day, these babies need our help. We must, we can, and we are standing together for the unborn. Will you join us? $28 is the cost of one of the ultrasounds. It'll help save a life. All gifts are tax deductible. To donate, just dial pound 250, say the keyword baby, pound 250 keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/Glenn.
Life is about being active, whether it's about going on your daily tasks or exercising. You know you're well when you're regularly active. But what happens when being active actually hurts by the end of the day? This is the position I found myself in a number of years ago. Everything I wanted to do in my daily life, all of the activity it called for, was held captive to almost constant nagging pain. When I heard about Relief Factor, I was skeptical, but my wife said, give it a chance. Not long after I took it, I could feel the pain begin to melt away, and I've been taking it ever since. And I can tell you that Relief Factor has helped me get my life back. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be ordering a 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, or ReliefFactor.com. Find out all about this offer and feel the difference. Okay, I want to give you a hypothetical. Imagine that the world is in commotion, that several different countries are in a state of emergency with fires, floods, volcanoes. Imagine world's at war, because of religion or race or territory. Maybe there's money. I know this is really hard to believe. Okay, now open your eyes. Oh my gosh, that's really happening. This is real life. You need to order your Jace case. This is your Jace Daily Meds from Jace Medical. You cannot be unprepared for this, not for what's coming in real life today. I have 2 children that have medicine that they have to take every single day to stop seizures. If that is broken down supply chain and I can't get it, what happens? Jace Medical. Order your life-saving meds right now from Jace. You'll get a year's supply if that's what you want. It's simple. You'll have your supply. JaceMedical.com. If you already have your stuff, get a gift card to somebody who you love. JaceMedical.com. Use the promo code BECK for a discount on your order. In the 1960s, 95% of the clothing Americans bought was made here in America. Now 97% is made somewhere else. But there's a company doing something to change that. It's called American Giant. 2 years ago, I met the founder and president of that company, Bayard Winthrop, when I had him on my podcast because 13 years before that, he created a company called American Giant by rescuing a clothing factory in North Carolina that was about to shut down. They started producing quality American clothing with American-grown cotton and American workers. They make the best hoodie you'll ever own and more clothing for men and women than you could imagine, and all of it is from here in America. The saying, follow the money, is so true. And when you do business with American Giant, that money stays right here. Jobs are saved, more are created. American Giant, a symbol of who we are and what our legacy can and should be. Buy American at american-giant.com/Glenn. Use my name, get 20% off your first order. american-giant.com/Glenn.
Sarah Gonzalez, Unfiltered.
But again, they don't understand that. They're so tone deaf, they don't think that way. They just think if we could get Donald Trump off the campaign trail, whether it be behind bars or what have you, that if we can prevent him from being on the campaign trail, somehow we'll prevent him from becoming elected. And then, of course, you have the people who say, well, I can't vote for a convicted felon. Well, when the judicial system is weaponized against the guy, what the hell does it even matter?
Get Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered and other original content at blazetv.com. blazetv.com.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
The underpass was constructed such that a bus carrying mostly black and Puerto Rican kids was designed too low for it to pass by. But that obviously reflects racism that went into those design choices. I don't think we have anything to lose by confronting that simple reality.
They can't get under there.
But the buses that carry the white kids to the beach?
No, the white people don't live with
It can travel the same road.
Pat Unleashed. Weekdays, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Only on the Blaze Radio Network.
This is the Blaze Radio Network. Truth lives here.
Pat Gray, Stuber Gear for Glenn today. 888-727-BECK. Talked about this Fauci hearing. It's out of control. I mean, you talk about your head exploding. Needing duct tape to keep the pieces together, your eyes bleeding. I can't listen to listening to Anthony Fauci is almost as bad as listening to Joe Biden for me.
It's
so unbelievable.
What bothers me is just the denial of what he was saying before. Like again,
everything really.
Right.
He denies
really frustrating.
Everything. And we have evidence of it. We have the proof of what he was saying back then.
Stylistically, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, not my favorite.
Right.
I don't know.
I know.
Like her approach is not my approach. I like the Rand Paul approach better.
I do too.
But still, it's like
she said a lot yesterday that needed to be said.
Well, yeah, and they also
we'll get to that coming up. By the way,
they also continually go back to this, and act as if nothing happens. It is. I don't know how else to describe it other than gaslighting. And I know that term gets so overused, but it really does fit here. They act as if we've just forgot everything that occurred.
Right. I know.
It's really hard to get over.
Yeah.
You know, it's really important that we come to some sort of conclusion. I mean, it really is the most important thing the government should be doing.
Yeah.
Maybe not the most. I mean, national defense. But I think this fits into it.
It's up there.
Yeah. Getting
important.
to the end of what happened during this period where we took away the liberty of all Americans for anywhere from 3 months to 2 years.
And that can't happen again.
Can't happen again.
We can't stand for that.
No. We have to. And honestly, we already have a system that should be able to handle this. And it's called personal liberty. You know, it's like it's like an operating system that if you kind of process these calculations, it should bring you to a point where, you want to try to come up with solutions to these things. You can suggest them, but then people make their own decisions. And I think the reason why there's been such a revolt is you try to take that decision-making process away from people.
What if we had something I don't know, like a charter of liberties of some sort, like I don't know what you would call something like that, like a constitution sort of thing.
Kind of boring,
compact,
but yeah. Okay.
if you will.
Yep. Sounds dull.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds boring and old and something old-timey that countries used to do that don't really do anymore because you don't want to have to be bound by a set of rules that limit the government. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems weird.
A charter maybe of negative liberties that tells you what the government can't do to the people. Like shut down your business, for instance, for no apparent reason.
Really?
Uh-huh. Like make you stay home. Like make you take a vaccine that you don't want to take. Those kinds of things.
The more you say it, the more it seems like a good idea.
Really?
Maybe we should consider it.
Okay.
Do you think that there's
I don't think
any precedent for a country doing something like this?
I don't. Not that I can think of right now, because my whole memory has been clouded by the last 4 years. So
I was looking for some old clip of Studios America, the show that I do here on Blaze TV. And it was something to do with COVID. And I was looking back at some of the early shows. And one of the shows I did, it was in, I want to say it was like mid-March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on there going like, hey, like, I understand what they keep saying here as far as we need to shut down these businesses and spend all this money. But like, when do we stop spending this money? Like, what is the line here? We had spent like $8 million. I'm on the air like ranting about. I think the first
did you know there were trillions
to come. I mean, of course, at that point, I have no idea and couldn't imagine it. I don't even know if we were shut down yet at this point. Like people were talking about it.
I don't think in mid-March we were.
Yeah, it was March 15th, 13th. 2020, I think, is when we first had the first 15 days to slow the spread.
Yeah.
And by the way, on stage for that moment, Anthony Fauci.
Right.
I mean, and look, as you mentioned, Donald Trump was on that stage too. I mean, you can give some grace, I think, at the very beginning for people not understanding what was coming and how to handle it.
Absolutely.
But this is, of course, why you process these things through the lens of personal liberty.
Yeah.
If you do that,
that's why
and
you follow the Constitution, no matter what.
You know,
I mean, it might look bleak, it might look dire, it might look scary. Doesn't matter.
That's when you need it most.
Right.
Exactly. You don't need your principles when decisions are easy.
Right.
You need them when it's difficult. Right.
Friendly speech, nice speech doesn't need to be protected.
Right. You don't have to worry about it. And then you have to follow. What you do is in those moments where, gosh, this feels really bad. He's saying some really nasty words. I don't like them at all. They're making me very angry, as a lot of people do. Right. They say things I don't really like. And then you say, but wait a minute. Fall back on our principles here. What are our principles? Oh, free speech. Okay, well, that's something that's central to everything that we talk about on a daily basis. And the reason why we're able to come do this show every day and why shows like ours, I mean, this has happened to Jordan Peterson, Mark Stein, many others in Canada, which is a relatively free space compared to North Korea and other examples we could come up with. And these people have been targeted by their own countries.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is what this operating system is supposed to protect against. And if you go back and you think about like the food pyramid, right? The food pyramid, something, I think they've changed that, right? Didn't know Michelle Obama changed the food pyramid to something else that I don't even know what it is?
I think they did, yeah.
You're supposed to have 95, who donates the most money? The milk industry. 95 servings of milk every day. And we had that pyramid. And it was these daily recommendations about what you're supposed to eat to make yourself healthy. And like, very rarely, maybe in some libertarian circles occasionally, you want to go on maybe reason.com, you'll see a couple pieces against the FDA pyramid. But like generally speaking, you know what the FDA pyramid is? It's something that no one cares about. It's a recommendation from the government that people look at and they say, actually, how many of those things can I combine on a burger? And I'll tell you how many I'm eating this week. No one cares about the food pyramid because it's a recommendation.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have to follow it.
You don't have to follow it. It is their best guess at what you should be eating. Now, of course, it changes every 3 months. We know that. But just like the guidance from the government during COVID, it was no masks, and then it was must mask, and it was, we'll never come up with a vaccine for 12 years, and then all of a sudden we have the vaccine, and you have to take it, and you can't bring your kids to school, but we all agreed that kids opening schools, that was totally fine. All these things changed a million times, but they tried to mandate all of them, and that's what pissed people off.
Yeah.
If you make people do things, especially when you're not entirely sure, you can have some grace from people. I think, honestly, if they were like, look, I don't know. Here's what we think is happening. We think masks might help. So, I mean, if you can get some, use them because it's probably not going to hurt. So give it a shot. If that was their approach, some people would use the mask. Some people would say, like, I don't want these things on my face. I don't like them. I'm going to take the risk. Mm-hmm. If that was the way this played out, these hearings don't exist.
Especially when Fauci himself in the beginning said masks were virtually useless.
Yes.
They're not going to help.
Nope.
That's not going to stop it. It's like sand going through a chain link fence. It didn't stop anything. So, and he knew that, and he said it at the beginning, and then completely changed it.
And I represent science.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. If there are two ways to go here, right? You can either say, like they do in North Korea, here's the truth. You will follow it. This is what I say. Mm-hmm. You do it. You better be freaking right if you're doing that stuff, unless you happen to be Kim Jong-un, because that doesn't matter. You can be right or wrong. Nobody cares. But if you have a government system like that, you can go that way. You can say, I am capital S science, and I will tell you what is right and what was wrong, and you will listen. And you're an idiot if you don't listen, because I am science and I am right. You can go that direction if you like, but you can't go that direction and then also go the new direction they want, which is, it was really hard. It was COVID. No one knew what was going on. We tried our best. We tried to give recommendations. We didn't know for sure. That is actually...
That's not what they did, though.
Real, though. That is what it
would have been real. And we would have appreciated that.
Yeah.
That would have been okay.
I would have been okay with that. And I think there's some... Even if you want to reverse it, you can say that there's too much criticism, that we all knew that X, Y, and Z was the way this was going to play out. Mm-hmm. There is some of that, I think, that floats around from the right that says, oh, well, we knew everything about it in March 2020, and all these people are idiots. Like, look.
I will say, though, we did say a lot of these things.
We did say a lot of these things. Here's one that was never controversial. Don't import COVID-positive patients into nursing homes.
Right.
That was never... That was obvious from day one. Everyone knew it. There was never a scientist being like, actually, it would be really good for these people who don't have COVID to be rooming with people who do, especially when they're elderly. Never a time where that was a thing. Mm-hmm. We said that at the beginning. And look, just because you say something at the beginning and it turns out to be right doesn't mean you were right to say it at the beginning. Right? Like, because of the fact that people were unsure. People said everything.
Yeah.
People were saying, oh, well, saunas will cure COVID. And people said everything about COVID. People said everything about COVID. Mm-hmm. The bottom line is, if you don't know for sure, having some level of grace for a person who says, look, here's our best thought on this. We understand this is a tough time. Follow it if you want. We think you should. But if you don't, you're taking a risk. And if that's on you. I would have
appreciated that so much.
Yeah. That's a healthy way to handle
That's
the situation.
not how they approached it, though.
No. But they're trying to say now that they did.
Right.
They're trying to say, actually, we said we thought schools should be open.
Sorry, we were there. We remember your daily briefings. We remember what we were told every single day by the likes of Fauci and Birx.
And Cuomo.
Mm-hmm. And yes, all these buffoons who were trying to tell us that they knew the science on this and we needed to follow the science. That's what we were told the whole time.
Yeah.
We're following the science, and you need to follow the science. Well, you weren't following science. You didn't know. And now you admit that. But you didn't at the time.
And science is an unsure, developing process. And it is. And you have to admit that if you want any credibility with people. They didn't do that. They've lost credibility. Yeah. People don't believe anything anymore.
Right.
I mean, if the bird flu epidemic turned into some terrible, terrible pandemic like COVID, half the country wouldn't believe a word of it.
Yeah.
And it's because of what they did. Instead of just trusting people to make their own decisions and realizing that there was risk associated with life, that people needed to make those decisions on their own, with their tolerance of risk. I mean, it would have been a much healthier society today. Even if you argue that it may have made some people sick, it may have. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to believe it could have gone worse than what it did, but maybe it would have been worse. I don't know. but at least people would have been responsible for their own outcomes.
888-727-BECK. It's Pat and Stu for Glenn today.
So never forget to keep your eyes on the prize. That is the kind of mentality you have to have when you're making big, important decisions on your life. So when you have to buy or sell a home or both, it's also the mentality you're going to want to have when you look for a real estate agent. Because if you don't get a good real estate agent, you are in real trouble. Real trouble. RealestateAgentsITrust.com is a place that you should go. This is something that Glenn started years and years and years ago because he had a bad experience with his own real estate agent. He was looking to buy and sell a home. And if you're in radio, you move every 9 months for your first 25 years in your career. It's wonderful. Let me highly recommend it as a way to make your living. RealestateAgentsITrust.com. It's a place to go. They have the best agents. They've screened them already for you. Don't just pick a flyer or in the name under the house you're looking at on the internet. You got to do a little bit more than that, and RealestateAgentsITrust.com has done that for you already. Do it now. RealestateAgentsITrust.com. It's RealestateAgentsITrust.com.
Get even more Glenn. Subscribe to the Glenn Beck Podcast anywhere podcasts are found.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
This is the Blaze Radio Network. Pat Gray.
Here's the web address, though, to see if your student loans are forgiven.
Oh, okay.
He gives it to you. He gave it to us yesterday.
Oh, so, cool. All right.
Here you go.
studentaid.gov/save.
It's right there on the freaking teleprompter. What is it about the words that you're not understanding?
Pat Unleashed. Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Only on the Blaze Radio Network.
In the 1960s, 95% of the clothing Americans bought was made here in America. Now 97% is made somewhere else. But there's a company doing something to change that. It's called American Giant. 2 years ago, I met the founder and president of that company, Bayard Winthrop, when I had him on my podcast because 13 years before that, he created a company called American Giant by rescuing a clothing factory in North Carolina that was about to shut down. They started producing quality American clothing with American-grown cotton and American workers. They make the best hoodie you'll ever own and more clothing for men and women than you could imagine, and all of it is from here in America. The saying, follow the money, is so true. And when you do business with American Giant, that money stays right here. Jobs are saved, more are created. American Giant, a symbol of who we are and what our legacy can and should be. Buy American at American-Giant.com/Glenn. Use my name, get 20% off your first order. American-Giant.com/Glenn.
Saturday, June 8th is the final section release of prime Texas acreage at wholesale prices. Now's the time to secure your Texas property. A built barn-dominium on 5 acres ready for your finishes, only $109.9. Or own 3 to 10 acre Lakeview estates from only $49.9. Come see why this is the best wholesale land value in the state of Texas. Saturday, June 8th, a rare 3+ acre direct dockable lakefront with over 700 feet of lake frontage, only $129.9. An easy drive from Houston, Dallas, and Beaumont. These properties are serviced by a gated entrance, paved roads, utilities, and high-speed internet. Located in a mecca for outdoor activities, featuring majestic live oak trees and incredible lakes for some of the best fishing in Texas. Multi-million-dollar owner's lodge and clubhouse is complete and ready to enjoy. Buy directly from the developer and save thousands on Saturday, June 8th. Call 262 Ranches or online at txlanddeal.com.
The headlines remind us daily, the world is a dangerous place. The elites in charge say everything's fine, stop noticing. But you know better. And your gut knows that time is short to prepare for a world that is 4 missed meals away from chaos. My Patriot Supply has helped over 3 million families become more self-reliant and is the company Americans trust to prepare. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contain delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Secure at least 1 food kit for each family member. For a limited time, save $200, plus get free shipping on all their Ready Hour 3-month emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour Foods. My Patriot Supply also has solar-powered generators, water filtration units, biomass stoves, heirloom seeds, and critical survival gear. Shop MyPatriotSupply.com today. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Conservative Review.
Everything is so messed up. Republicans stand for the wrong things, and even when they stand for the right things, they do it for wrong reasons, the wrong timing, and it just is so weird. It's so bizarre. You know, what Republicans are doing is they're screwing us. Mike Johnson is screwing us on every issue, and then in between, every second, he votes on something pertaining to Israel.
Conservative Review. Watch on demand at blazetv.com.
This is the Blaze Radio Network.
It's Pat and Stu for Glenn today. Anthony Fauci appeared before Congress yesterday and faced some questions, and he's sticking to his story on the vaccine, that it's safe and effective. Here's what he said.
You said in an interview that you gave as part of an audiobook written by Michael Spector that you believed an institutional should make it hard for people to live their lives so they'd feel pressured to get vaccinated. Could we run the audio clip on that, please?
You think can be done about it? I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Okay.
Thank you. Are all objections to COVID vaccinations ideological bull, Dr. Fauci?
No, they're not, and that's not what I was referring to.
Well,
no, it is.
In reference to making it hard for people to get education.
Jeez. I mean,
traveling,
okay, we got
working.
That wasn't the safe and effective one, but that was one where he just flat out lied again. I mean, we just heard him say it. What do you mean that's not what you were referring? Those were the words that came out of your mouth, and you're denying them.
And they tried all those things. And he actually outlines exactly what occurred here when he says, if as soon as they feel protected legally, this will happen. Well, they did try it, and they were not protected legally. It got overturned by the courts. So that's why